immediately whacked at the huge tongue with her shoe and tried to roll up the window. Having rid her car of the offensive appendage, she now heard the blessed sound of an engine and turned to see a blue and white pickup pulling into the driveway. She registered a black cowboy hat and dark hair as the truck rumbled past her in a cloud of dust. The window was wide open, the radio blared guitar-picking country music, and a tan, muscled arm rested against the faded blue paint. The truck pulled to a stop in front of her car, and she sighed with relief. How low had her life sunk that her hero had just arrived in an ancient pickup, sporting a decal silhouette of a naked woman wearing high heels and holding a shotgun, an NRA emblem, and a bumper sticker that read, "Get her done?" The door of the truck opened. As one cowboy boot hit the ground, Charlie had a moment of fear, wondering if she was now in more danger being stranded alone in the middle of nowhere with a three-toothed redneck who fully believed in his right to bear arms. She reached to depress the door locks, then remembered she had locked the doors earlier when the beast had first charged the car. She was now pretty sure a bull couldn't open a car door with its hoof, but it was a moment of panic, and she wasn't taking any chances. The rest of her hero emerged from the truck, and any thoughts of door-opening cows left her head as she took in the sight of this man. He epitomized the term hot cowboy, standing well over 6 feet tall, wearing faded Wranglers, a sleeveless Western shirt, and the aforementioned black cowboy hat. He was tan and had the solid muscles of someone who spent his time outdoors working hard, instead of indoors working out. He rested one of those muscled arms on the open door of his truck as he appeared to survey the red car containing a sweaty blonde being held captive by a 1,200-pound bull. Why is he just standing there? Charlie gave him a small wave. She didn't think he could hear her and considered doing a mini charade to describe her predicament. 2 words, movie title, help me. But instead found herself pointing to the bull and mouthing, help. The cowboy broke into a wide grin, definitely more than 3 teeth. She found herself smiling back, until he leaned forward and let loose a long stream of tobacco juice into the dirt at his feet. Oh, gross. She watched him amble toward her and lowered the window a few inches. He peered in through the window and smiled again, as he seemed to take in the disheveled mess she was. Her skirt was a wrinkled disaster and had crept up enough to show a considerable amount of her pale legs. "Hey there. Looks like you got yourself in a bit of a pickle." "A pickle? I'm swimming around in the whole jar." She smiled up at him, then watched his eyes do a full inventory of her figure and the fast food wrapper-strewn interior of her car. She wasn't sure if he was checking out her cleavage or trying to discern what the large stain on the front of her blouse was. She couldn't actually remember if it was ketchup or coffee, and frankly, she didn't care. She was just so happy to be rescued. Charlie considered burning the blouse if she could ever get out of this blasted car. "That beast won't let me get out," she explained through the crack in the window, as she pointed at the huge black bull, now standing docile as it watched the cowboy lean against her car. "Every time I try to open the door, he rams it with his head." The cowboy looked down at the scarred and battered door, let out a low chuckle, then turned and sauntered off into the open door of the barn. He reappeared a few minutes later holding a dented coffee can in one hand and a handful of hay in the other. The can must have held something appetizing. Through a series of yips and haws and shakings of the coffee can, the man lured the bull into the dark recesses of the barn. Emerging a few minutes later, he crossed the driveway, dusting bits of hay from his hands. "All right, you can come out now. I put Tommy Lee in one of the stables." Charlie hit the unlock switch, and he opened the driver's side door. She pulled the keys from the ignition and dropped them in her coach bag. Sliding the purse up her shoulder, she swung her legs out and tried to stand while adjusting her wrinkled skirt and blouse. The pebbles of the driveway dug into her bare feet, and she reached for the door as her knees threatened to buckle. But instead of steel, her hand encountered hard flesh as the cowboy put his arm around her waist to steady her. "Whoa there." "Oh, thanks. I picked the wrong shoes for driving, and I've got the worst blister on my heel." He pulled her against his hip and led her toward the 4 steps of the front porch she'd been staring at the last 30 minutes. "Let's get you inside and find you some water. How long have you been stuck in